Before we start today's episode, I just want to say a massive thank you to Matt for leaving this review on Apple Podcasts. Only 3 episodes in and loving this podcast already. Great hosts, interesting guests, and an exciting peek behind the curtain of the escape room industry. Looking forward to future episodes, but anxious for my wallet as it may take a beating with all the great escape room recommendations. Thanks, Matt. It means the world to us. Now on with the episode.
Hello and welcome to the ESCAPUZZLED podcast, your one-stop shop for all things escape room, immersive and tabletop games. Today you are joined by me, that's Helena, Corey, my fabulous co-host.
Hello.
And also joining us today is Bradley Murphy, the owner of Exit Newcastle, which was opened back in 2015 and has since expanded to 6 whole escape rooms, including the 3 Bears, Save the City, Volatile Labs, The Heist, Full Cave and The Attic. Hello Bradley, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
How are we doing today? You well?
I am well, yeah, pretty good. Good day.
Busy week?
I think right now it's actually not super busy. Like escape games seem to be a little bit quiet just with the weather and things like that, I think. But yeah, a lot of non-escape room running stuff, I guess. So it's been busy, but not
escape room busy.
Yeah, exactly. We've actually had a lot of team building stuff this week we've done. We've had like a book club, we've had a board game night, we had a murder mystery night. It just seemed like loads of team activities ended up happening all in one week.
That's really cool. Why does the company I work for not do this? This is ridiculous. I want to play games and read books. Like, that's not what we get.
Was that people coming in or you were just having games nights?
No, that was kind of just us having games night. We're pretty lucky actually. So with the team that we've got, like everyone gets pretty involved in sort of organising stuff and meeting up and doing things. So it's quite nice. Like it's not all on one person. Everything are organised by someone else. And then the only thing that we've had someone from outside come and do is where we are in Newcastle. Below us there's like a record shop, and the guy that works in the record shop really likes this game called Blood on the Clock Tower, and so he's been running that in Exit a few times.
That's really cool. I've never heard of Blood on the Clock Tower, but I am now going to go look into it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like, have you played any of the deductive kind of, it's like Avalon and like Secret Hitler, it's like that kind of style.
Like werewolf and stuff.
Yeah, exactly like that. It's
Okay.
that kind of style of game. I'd say it's better than all of those, mainly I think because the structure of it's better, I think. I find when you play those games, like a lot of the time, you'll be sitting around a table and it just descends into not arguments, but heated discussion. And then the game never seems to end. Whereas with this Blood on the Clock Tower, it seems like the game moves faster because of that, is a bit more engaging, I think. But yeah, it's cool.
I love a game that's like one thing after another, after another, after another, and all of a sudden you're doing like 3 things at once. I love those games. I think tabletop wise, have you ever played the Your Sushi games?
No.
I've eaten a lot of your sushi, but I've never played any games.
Very similar to, I think they're called baked potato games, and
Okay.
they're just really quick games that are like you've got to do one thing after another, after another, after another, and it just gets quicker every time you solve something.
So it just speeds up and up and up.
Yeah, to the point like I'm shivering, going, "What are we doing next?"
For me, anyway, I feel like that like relates to escape games as well in a bit, and that like lots of puzzles, really fast, more fun than difficult puzzles that take a long time. Like, you know, you just want to get through stuff and like have that feeling of achievement over and over again.
Yeah, I fully agree. Speaking of what you like in escape rooms, one of the things that we like to do on the ESCAPUZZLED podcast is to run through the escape room player profile, which is sort of where we get to know you as an escape room, obviously, owner and as a player itself. So a little while ago, we put out a blog post called The Stereotypes of Escape Rooms, in which there are things like the explorer, the leader, the organized one. What would you say is your player type in an escape room?
Okay, so I had a look, and I think the one that most closely matches me is probably the explorer, but I want to say not climbing on stuff, because that's highlighted in your blog post. I don't climb on things, you know, I follow the rules, but I do look everywhere. Like I sort of search all over and have like a real good look at things and like how things are working and maybe what would open. And yeah, I just like the whole exploring kind of side of it. And almost with the puzzles, I'm like, I'll look at a puzzle and I'll be like, oh, I bet you have to do this to figure it out. But then I won't figure it out. I'll just be like, okay, that's cool. Now I'm going to go and look for something else. Like
Easily distracted by other things.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, right, what's the next thing that I can discover in this game?
I feel like it's one of those things, like sometimes you can get so lost in exploring and looking at the pretty sort of architecture and the cool props, and everybody's like, you actually going to solve a puzzle anytime soon? Are we doing this solo while you mess around with the toy gun that you've been given in the room?
Exactly. It's just I just want to have fun and like that's exploring. I don't have to think too much, you know. It's so easy to get distracted. I mean, essentially an escape room is just a load of distracting things all in a room, you know, that you've got to go and find out more about and solve and figure out. So yeah, you just like one thing to the next thing non-stop.
So off the back of that, what is your favourite theme?
This was a really hard question. Obviously, I knew the question was coming, but I don't really know because there's so many games that I've done that I'm like, this was fantastic. And it doesn't really have that much to do with the theme. A good game is just a good game, I think. And the theme, while it is really important, I don't think a specific theme would ever put me off. And likewise, I wouldn't go out to try and find a specific thing. I mean, of the ones that I've played, I really like time travel. So if I had to answer this question, I think time travel. But I think part of that is like in a lot of time travel games, you go through a lot of different eras. So it's kind of like getting a lot of different escape rooms all in one. You know, you'll have like a spaceship for a bit, and then you might be in like the Victorian age, and you might be in a castle. And I like that because then it feels like, you know, you're in 3 totally different games. So I'd say, yeah, time travel, probably.
Well, I'm glad you answered that question because we're going to have to put it on your player profile on social media, and no theme is a difficult answer to put.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. Also, if it's like no theme, then it looks like I don't enjoy themes. And that's
What is your favorite
bad,
theme?
isn't it?
None of them. Hate them all.
Please, no, do not theme any of my games. That's not what I want.
I just want to sit in a blank room full of puzzles. That's it.
Yeah, like white walls, just everything's just white and black.
In all fairness, like a Stranger Things-esque laboratory with like puzzles as though you're a test subject would also be very cool.
Yeah, you're right. Thinking like really bright white clinical light, stuff like that. Like, yeah. But then that is a theme, right? So
yeah. Come full circle. I am unfortunately going to ask the opposite question, which is your least favorite theme. And you said you don't have one, but I'm going to twist your arm and ask for one anyway.
It's a hard one. And I had the question already, and I've just not written an answer for it, which is foolish. I mean, all I will say is that there was a game in Edinburgh. This was so long ago, like years and years ago. The company that ran it closed down. It was called Escape Hour. And on paper, the theme of this game was go in, and the spirit of David Bowie was trapped in a mug, and you had to get the mug out of the game and release his spirit. And that was the theme, and it was one of the most fun games I've ever played. But
what?
Like, you know, on paper, you're like, that doesn't work. That's not a good theme. But it was so good. So I think maybe like
David Bowie.
Yeah, like that's not, because that just proves that actually anything works. You know, it's just about how the story's told and things. Maybe like some of the detective ones, when it's not an actual like mystery. You know, it's like, oh, you've got to solve this mystery, but the killer's name is just locked in this box at the end of the room. So yeah, I don't know, maybe that. But even then, like, I'm sure that could be done well. So
I apologize for twisting your arm there, but we needed an answer.
I know. Yeah, I'm sorry for just
wrangled it out of you.
I want to know more about the David Bowie mug.
It was so good. It was ridiculous. The entire game was ridiculous. The first puzzle was you were in like this really small room, and there was like, it wasn't bubble wrap, but it looked like bubble wrap, and it covered all of the walls. And this puzzle was like almost impossible. There was like a coat stand, and then to get out, like the key to this game, because some of your stuff was on the coat stand, and it was to take your stuff off of the coat stand, turn it upside down, and shove one of the legs in this random hole in the wall, and then the game master running it would clearly unlock the door. It wasn't like a real lock, but that was the key to unlocking this door. It was wild. It was a wild game. Just good fun. And then like in that same space, you had to sing like 3 David Bowie songs. It was interesting.
That is a very weird niche.
Yeah. It's a shame that it closed.
What you can't see as an audio listener is my face getting more and more confused as you were talking there.
There's so many like crazy twists to it. And I actually, so when I was like looking at these questions, and I'd like, could I just make that up? And so I had to have like a 15-minute Google to try and find the company.
Was this a fever dream?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, did I just make this up? And the thing is, for a while, like I was struggling to find anything. And then I found like their old TripAdvisor page and was like reading reviews. And I was like, yes, this is it. This is the game. It did exist.
I kind of want to play this game now. I know they're no longer there, but
I don't.
no.
Oh, you're missing out, Corey. Like, that's the wrong answer.
Am I really though?
You really are. You really are.
So I think if we ask this to anybody that isn't in the escape room world, or I guess maybe if you're a prison officer, but I don't know, what is your favorite kind of lock?
For the people listening, I hope you realize we are going to use that same introduction for the question every single week.
Okay, so of the classic locks, my favorite lock, I have this specific lock in Exit. Do you know the brand Squire?
No, what's
Okay, so,
fire?
so Squire, I think it might be a UK company actually. Anyway, they still exist and make locks now. They are pretty good, quite expensive, but it's this old one. It's like, I think I probably got it off eBay or something. And it's really big, like heavy metal, like kind of the size of like a Coke can. Like a really
Wow.
chunky lock. And it has this massive key. And the reason that I like it so much is sometimes in escape rooms with key locks, one of the problems is you'll lose keys or the keys will bend. And this lock is just so big and the keys are so big. It's like this really 3 mil thick piece of metal, this key. So it means that you can't really lose the key unless someone's deliberately stealing it. And also, even if you sit on the key or you stand on it or you put it in the wrong lock and twist it, it just doesn't bend. So the classic locks, that lock is my favorite.
I have also Googled this, and these things are huge. This
They
is
are
like
huge.
you need an angle grinder if you're missing the key, kind of huge.
Yeah, exactly.
what?
Like I think the modern ones, they've like covered them in like a plastic sheath as well. But this old one is like just pure metal, and it has like a really nice, satisfying click. You know, when you lock it and you
Oh.
unlock it,
Love that.
it's just really good. But then I'm cheating here, and I've got like another answer to this. I love Magic because I think that for escape rooms, they're like game changer. Like
They're
they made,
magic.
yeah, they're magic. So
Yeah.
like they're great. You can unlock them anywhere you want, and that's cool.
I
Pretty
remember when I was like learning how to program a maglock, and as soon as I like found out how to do it and how easy and simple it was, I was like, I am magical. This is magic, it's happening. And I have like a box now that can pop itself open.
It's just like what can I do now to make this open? Anything. Like people can jump or stand on something or move an object in the room and that'll do it. Like it's just like great.
So cool. So I've written into a game that I was going to use maglocks to attach like body parts to a ceiling.
Yes.
And I was like,
yes.
oh my God, what a brilliant thing of just randomly like a hand falling down.
We now have that in one of our games. I'm not. This sounds like set up, but in one of the games we made a hatch in the roof controlled by a maglock, and it has a hand on the other side of the hatch. And so when we trigger it, the hand falls out and lands somewhere we want it to land. That's why maglocks are so good, right?
Yeah. We both had the same idea of body parts falling from the sky.
Exactly. We'll terrify them.
I think I know which room this is probably in, and I think I'd wet myself if that happened
Yeah.
in said room.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, if you look at our list of games, there's only one room.
Yeah. Only one suitable room for a
like
decapitated
the three
dad.
bears, a hand just falls like down from the ceiling, scaring all the children. Like maybe not.
Really traumatize the kids.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that game?
Yeah, of course.
Without spoilers.
Without spoilers.
yes.
Okay, that was my first horror game.
Mine
so
too.
it's The Attic, by the way. Yeah. And it was probably just as The Attic opened. So this is 5 years,
5 years ago or something, probably.
Yeah.
5 years
Just brand new. I've came back and replayed it, and
Okay.
it was a very different game.
ago. Yeah, our games go through lots of changes.
Yeah, everybody's does. Everyone gets a bit bored of their game and goes, "Oh, how can we have a hand falling from the sky?" Do you still have a curtain in it?
Yes, yeah, we do.
Okay, so it was the doll that fell down out of the curtain.
Yes, that's like sort of wedged up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still like that. And like the thing is, like, it's good because I think people know it's coming. Like, people know they're going to get scared when they go through that curtain, but people still get scared. But I think that's the reason that room's scary is that people are like in their own head.
Bro, tell me about it. Going into that room, your games master was really ramping it up before we went into that room, and I was quaking.
Yeah. I'm not sure who you had running it, but like sometimes it's like, what are you scared of? And then, they'll like say what they're scared of, and then be like, yeah, well, you definitely maybe won't come across that in this game.
Yeah. For some reason, I said I was scared of spiders, which I am. But the guy was like, oh, okay, good luck. Maybe just don't put your hands in things. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Not ideal.
I think with that particular game, with some scary games, like I think that you have to kind of go into them wanting to be scared a bit. I think, otherwise you'll sometimes get people that are just like, yeah, I don't want to be scared. It's only a game. I'm just going into a room, and it is kind of difficult to scare those people. I think depending on like how elaborate you get, without like actually physically touching people and things like that, and like having actors in there, I think it's sometimes kind of limited, like what you can do. And I think if someone goes in scared, like they want to be scared almost, then that's a much easier thing to do to achieve than it is to scare someone who's like, oh yeah, whatever, I don't want to be here.
Yeah, I try and act the big one, but it sharp gets kicked out of us.
Yeah.
But in all fairness, I think what would scare me more if there was like a millennial-esque horror game where there's like you've got to file your taxes and that kind of thing. I'd be absolutely terrified.
You've
How are you
actually got
gonna
to
pay your
call
rent
the
this month?
doctors.
You got to make an actual phone call and talk to a real person.
You just get a phone call and you have to answer it.
Oh my god, unknown
Ooh.
number.
It's like an
withheld.
unknown number, yeah, and they won't leave a message. Yeah.
You never
Like,
know.
the opposite to actually how things work. Like you'll send them an email and the automated reply is like, we don't monitor emails, please call us.
Oh
Yeah.
goodness.
It's a horrible
I am going to throw us back on track and I'm going to be a negative Nancy as always, apparently. This seems to be the situation every time we record a podcast. But what is your least favourite puzzle? What do you not like to see in an escape room?
I think most people probably share this opinion, but I really don't like when you're playing a room and there is a puzzle. It's literally like ripped out of a puzzle book. So it's like, solve this crossword and this is the word you're going to need. Like, I don't want to do that in the escape room. Like I can, crosswords are all right. I'll play Wordle and things like that. They have their place and their time. Yeah, not in an escape room. And the same with anything, I'd say like maths puzzles and things like that. But I don't mind the occasional, like, oh, what's 5 + 5? Or, something simple. But I don't want to do like long division.
Pythagoras' theorem, which I've come across in an escape room before.
Yeah, no thanks. That's not doing.
It's not a puzzle. You've just got to know maths. And especially like somebody that's been out of school for so long. I have no idea how to do fractions anymore.
Yeah, give me like a really hard escape game puzzle any day over like a difficult maths equation.
Yeah.
I think anything else is fair game.
That's fair. I've been playing a lot of Myrtle recently. I don't know if you've had a chance to try that.
No, what's
Medal.
that?
Myrtle is like a deduction game where basically you get like a little table and you have suspects and you have motives and you have to deduce down to who did it, where they did it, and what they did it with. So it's like Cluedo, but more of a logic puzzle.
Is it a book? Is it like
It is a book.
printed book? I think I've seen that and I saw
It's
it.
in like every shop at the minute.
Yeah. It's like on the stand as you go in, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on the Asda's bestsellers at current.
Yeah, I'm sure that's where I saw it. And the thing is, like, what went through my mind was like, I think I'd like that. And I was like, no, wait, they put it on this stand. They want me to buy it. Like, maybe it's not very good. They just want to sell it to me. But now you've said it's good. Then
It is definitely worth checking out. Walking into Asda and being like, "You trying to sell me something? I'm not doing that."
yeah, well, you don't pick the stuff, right? That's like shoved in your face. You got to go for the stuff low down on the shelves and things. That's where the bargains are.
So, obviously, you've built escape rooms. You've been around escape rooms. We know what you like. We know what you don't like. But what is your biggest strength in an escape room?
I don't know exactly how to phrase this. When I'm in an escape room, obviously you're in with a team of people. I really focus on just making sure everyone's involved and everyone's having fun. And then I also have loads of fun because everyone's like involved in doing things. Like I hate it when, well, you'll know because you've watched loads of escape rooms, but I think this like comes from like a fear of watching loads of escape rooms where you'll sometimes get like one person or 2 people and they'll just go off and try and do everything. And then push everyone to the side and be like,
yeah, I hate those people. Definitely not
God.
one of those. Gee,
yeah, they're the worst,
what?
right? I want to make this clear. So when I'm in a game, that's what I try and do. Like, I just want to have a good time and I want everyone in there to have a good time. And so I want to explore things and find things and like, just have a good time. But what I will say is when I start to run out of time and I think I'm going to food, all that goes out of the window and I'm an awful person to be in an escape room with. I have to do it like this. Stop doing that.
Barging people out of the way.
Worst person. So, yeah. So the first 50 minutes, I think I'm probably all right to play with. The last 10 minutes, no. If we're not out, then it all falls apart.
I mean, that leads perfectly into what's your weakness, but I think we might have already answered that, unless you have another weakness that you think overtakes that overall.
No, I think that's generally my weakness. Like I'm fine until things are going wrong or running out of time. Maybe it's like I think part of that first bit as well is, like I kind of just sort of go in and I'm like looking around. I'm like, oh, what are you looking at? And like, oh, look, we found this over here. Maybe these things work together. It's like a lot of just exploring and kind of having fun. So maybe part of the negative of that is I am quite relaxed. I'm kind of like, well, it'll be fine. We'll figure this out. And so maybe I waste too much time.
Then in the last 10 minutes, you're making up for it all and you're running around frantically.
Yeah, which never works because that's when like you perform at your worst because you're like, so tunnel vision and like, I'm focused on this and then that's definitely what I'd say.
So, if you could build any escape room team, so your absolute dream team, it obviously consists of yourself and also 4 others. So it can be people who are dead, alive, celebrities, known escapees. Who would you choose to be on your team?
I'm going to make the same joke as I do every week, but the dead people are resurrected. They're not just a
They're not
body
just bodies.
slumped in
Yeah,
a
okay,
corner.
fine. So I think for this, if I just wanted the fastest time, I'd probably do it with my friends and family, like my best mates and my brother and stuff, and my sister, because we played so many together now that we just work well together, and I know we'd get out really fast. But if it was just like a dream team, so I was like you say, you can pick absolutely anyone. Maybe like, is it Steve Coogan plays Alan Partridge?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd have him. I think that would be amusing. But he'd have to be in character. Then like maybe Bob Mortimer as well. I think he'd be a laugh. And then since I can like resurrect people, I think you'd be wasting so much opportunity not to resurrect someone like Elvis. Just have a thing in the not really partake in the game at all. Or like and resurrect the whole of the Beatles as one person.
Wait, when we say as one person, are we saying 4 beings? Or are we saying one franken-beatle?
I kind of want them as individuals,
Okay. I was just double checking because when you said resurrected as one person, I had this weird like mishmash.
Super Beatle. And then I think, for my like celebrity version, maybe I've got like one more person. Probably because I think ultimately I would actually want to get out of the game. I'd need someone that's really good at escape rooms, but also maybe a celebrity. Because why not? And the only person who I can think that fits that bill, and I think would be a good laugh to have, would be, Neil Patrick Harris?
Yeah, he was on my dream team.
So yeah, I'd take him. And he seems like he'd be, a great person to have, so go with that.
I mean, you've managed to somehow sneak about 40 people into this room, but we'll allow it.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it's hypothetical, right? So why 4 others? Like, that would mean it's a 5-person game. Can it not be like a 20-person escape room?
Yeah, but imagine trying to fit 20 people into one of your rooms. Like, I'm going to say something specifically and I'm going to bleep it out in the edit because spoilers. But imagine fitting everyone into in the first part. Yeah, that's getting blanked, but imagine.
Yeah, that's just not, I mean, like 6 people is a push, right? So
we had 4 and I was like breathing other people.
Yeah, you have to really like the people that you're playing that game.
I could taste what they had for breakfast.
Yeah. It's an interesting beginning.
It certainly makes you want to get out of the room faster, though. So it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I think, this is all being bleeped out as well. I think one of the problems with that particular part is that it's quite a hard puzzle too. So
it is.
It's there for a little bit of time too. It's not as if you're just in and out. So that adds to it, right?
There's going to be so little context to each part of this, but I'm going to leave in the parts that don't make any sense functionally, and people are going to have to go to exit and play all the rooms to figure out which one it is.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like I've really cheated in answering most of your questions, to be honest.
It's going to be an absolute nightmare for me changing this into a social media post, but it'll be fine. I'll figure it out.
What you could do, though, in the edit is you could just edit out all of my cheating answers and just edit it so it's 4 people, and then that's what he said.
I just edit it, and it's just my voice going, Dave, Steve, Bill, Terry, a few of the lads from the pub.
Yeah.
The problem with the question, I was like, am I trying to get out of this? Because having 4 people that I just want to meet and talk to is not going to be good for the escape room. We might
not a single guest that we've had on has thought logically about this. They've all just gone, I just want to spend time with these people.
Yeah, exactly. Because if I wanted to get out of a room, I think it really helps. I mean, you'll know from playing loads of games, but if you've played a lot of games with people, you just become better at escape rooms. Like that's just how it works, right?
Especially if you're like with those people. Like me and my husband can play a whole game and barely speak to each other.
Hmm.
Like we're just really good at communicating and go, "What are you
Like-
doing?" Yeah, and if he actually needs to for anything, I'll just like tootle over and help him. It's all good.
Yeah, just like on the same wavelength. You don't need
Yeah.
to like verbally communicate everything.
Do you not find that when you run games for couples that some of them could be like super chatty and super helpful as a game operator, but some of them they just don't need to talk and they're just doing it and well.
Yeah, definitely. And with friends as well. It's like I think it's smaller group with like 2 people groups. There's a lot less communication sometimes because when you've got like 5 people in a game, then obviously they're all just shouting at each other, and that's really
Yeah.
happening. Obviously, like just listen to what they're shouting to each other. I think everywhere now has microphones in their rooms so they can listen in to people. But like with 2 people, they're sometimes quite quiet. Like they'll get quite close to each other, and they're almost whispering, and you like have to like listen.
Like, what are you doing? You're huddled in the corner. I can't see what you're doing or hear you.
Yeah, like they haven't done it deliberately, but they've gone as far away as possible from the microphone and they're whispering. It's like, what are you doing?
Oh, I don't miss running those games.
More guesswork for you than the people in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And occasionally you're just kind of like, okay, well, when you need me.
Yeah. The thing is, as well, it's like I think you become a bit reliant on the audio sometimes because I remember when like we didn't have audio and it wasn't really a common thing like in the beginning, you know. Most escape rooms didn't have audio. It was just the cameras and you just watch people. And so you got really good at knowing exactly where people were at just by looking at like what stuff was on the table or what they hadn't found. But you'd set the cameras up in a way that you could like see corners of boxes that had been opened or whatever. Whereas now like the audio is just almost so good you don't need the cameras sometimes. You just like listening.
Yeah. But also I'll happily pride myself on being able to look at any of the games that I've ran and go, they're doing this right now. Occasionally I'll appear in my old office and they're like, what are they doing? And I'll just look at the screen for about 2 seconds and go, oh, they're doing this. And they're like,
Yeah.
what?
How do you know that? You know, it comes with experience.
Yeah, or I'll just like be start having a chat and somebody's training. Like I literally did this on Sunday. I went up and saw the new general manager to check in how she's doing and stuff. Somebody was in training and they missed a sound cue. And you know when your brain's just like, play that right now. Like,
Do it. You're missing
do
out.
it. You missed the cue. And they were like,
Yeah.
what? Like I was not engaged in that game at all. I wasn't looking at it, I wasn't watching it. I just heard a very specific moment in the game and I was like,
I think it's like sometimes like if I'm like in work, people are running the games and then like I want to talk to them, but they'll turn and face me because you know that's what you do when you're speaking to people. And I'll be like looking over their shoulder and I'll be like, oh wait, you need to do this, and then and they're like, oh man, sorry, didn't catch that in time.
yeah.
No, I was distracting you actually this time. So. And that's when like groups go from like not really much progress. Like the moment you look away, they're like, all right, we're just going to solve 5 things now in like 2 seconds.
So, to take us back to the beginning, not to the beginning of time, we're not going that far back to the beginning of your origin story. Why escape rooms and how did you get into them?
I guess it's just the classic escape room tale, isn't it? The very first one I did, I was really lucky. I was actually house sitting, looking after like dogs and cats in this place called Meinfeld, which is in Switzerland. I was there for like, it was like 3 weeks, I think. And at the time, you know, we were just in this house and not too far from it, there's a city called Kur, which isn't a massive city, but, you know, we're like, oh, we've got like an hour or 2, we could pop out and do something. Let's go on TripAdvisor, see what's there to do. And I think it's still the case now, but yeah, escape rooms were like dominated TripAdvisor back in the day. And so it was like, oh, what's this thing? It's like a room. Everyone's saying it's like the best thing they've ever done. And, you know, it was competing with like statues that people had rated on TripAdvisor and like nice streets. And so like, right, let's do this escape room. So went along and the company was actually called Adventure Rooms, I think, which is now a big chain. And so did this game. And I think as with everyone's first game, it was just like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever done. This is game changing. It was like physical and it was exciting and it was the time pressure, just everything that makes doing an escape room great. And so did that and it had some really good puzzles. You know, for the time, it was really, really good. I mean, like I was out there and I was like, okay, I mean, I was basically on holiday. I was like, I'm going to plan an escape room on these bits of paper and stuff and just, you know, did loads of Googling and searching for like where you can maybe set up and things like that. And then got back to England after that trip and I went to Edinburgh because there was one in Edinburgh. You know, the franchise Escape?
Oh yeah.
So they had one in Edinburgh, and then there was one in Leeds. I can't remember, but they were like the two closest to Newcastle at the time. I don't know if it still goes, but there was like exitgames.co.uk had like a map where you could see all of the escape rooms that were opening in England. And there was like, I don't know, maybe like 30 on the map at the time, 40, something like that.
Jeez.
And so, yeah, most of them were down south. And I just thought, right, I can do this. The one in Edinburgh wasn't great, and nor was the one in Leeds. They were both good fun, but I was just like, all right, I can do better than this, which I think is how most people start escaping.
Yeah.
I can do better than this, naively. What happens is you can do better than that, but then everyone's improving all the time. So like, yeah, it's just everyone's games get better. Yeah, started that, I guess it was the summer, and just got a space. I was really lucky with the space. We're in Newcastle Arts Centre, because rent in Newcastle can be pretty expensive for like commercial space. It's crazy now, like looking back, but like there's places that I viewed that are still up for rent now.
Nearly 10 years later.
Yeah, the biggest challenge, I guess, was finding somewhere. And like I said, I just got really lucky. Found that place. The art centre, it was like 3 floors up. It wasn't being used. It hadn't been used in ages. And I got a really good deal on the rent. And like the terms and stuff, everything was really good, actually. I was just very lucky, very fortunate.
I think what's crazy about the venue for Exit as well is the sheer scale. Like looking from the outside and going through the single door up a single staircase. It darts off in every direction, and everywhere you look, there's another
You have
room.
a spiral staircase.
Yeah, it's like a maze. It's a really cool building. And also, it's skipping ahead a bit, but one of the sort of positives of COVID was that the people that were renting some of the buildings next door, they moved on and like gave up the lease. And so at the time, I was like, yeah, I'll take those spaces and we'll put everything in one building and just use this. So it's technically 3 buildings, but they're all linked together.
Oh, I forgot that you did that.
Yeah, we got to get out of that and then move everything into one, because it wasn't ideal having 2 sites in the same city, if I'm honest.
Quite confusing, because I bet loads of people went to another site than the one that they were meant to be in, and it's like a 15-minute walk between the 2.
I know. Also, I really did everything I could do to try and make that not happen. Like it would be on the email, text people. Like I'd go on in the morning, I'd go through and I'd get every single person's phone number, because there wasn't really an automated way to do this, and I'd text them from my phone and be like, "You've got an escape room with Exit today. Your game is at this address."
Yeah, you can't help stupid, can you? Like you could try your best, but there's still gonna be people.
The problem is that like, I mean, I do this as well, but people would, 20 minutes before their game starts, like, crap, we need to get to Exit. Go on Google, type in Exit Newcastle. First one that comes up, and it was just like 50-50 what came up, and that's where they'd go. Yeah,
that's fair. I do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I never blamed the customer, but it wasn't.
We've had like a lot of players come to Durham Castle and Durham Cathedral to play our Lumley Castle game.
Oh yeah.
And I've like rang them and been like, "Where are you guys? Like, do you need some directions?" Castles are quite disorientating anyway, so we'd ring them and give them instructions of where to meet us. The amount of times that I've been like, "Where are you?" and they're like, "We're by the bins," and I'm like, "What bins? And in what city or castle are you in?" And they'll be like, "Oh, we're just in Durham Castle at the moment. We're in the reception." I'm like, "You are.
You're far away."
So far away.
Yeah, I mean that's like, at least ours, it was like a 10-minute walk or something. But yeah,
drive.
You have to like, go back to the car, get in the car, drive for 20 minutes.
You know that expensive Durham parking you just paid for? Boy, are you going to hate this.
Give it to someone else. People just sometimes don't think, myself included. But it's just, we have people book us and then go to Newcastle under Lyme. And then
what?
Right, we've just put your address in and you're not the right Newcastle. And that's happened like multiple times. So,
I'm very glad nobody from Durham, North Carolina or Durham, Australia.
I remember tagging Durham escape rooms once on an Instagram post, and I got a message like, "G'day, mate. You definitely tagged the wrong place, but if you want to come over sometime, then by all means."
Yeah, it was quite a funny thing on social media, and occasionally they would tag us in photos that they'd been tagged in of our games and be like, "This doesn't belong to us.
Please take your customer.
Have it back."
We like skipped ahead to getting 2 buildings, but basically when I first started, it was only Save the City, I was only running that. And then, well, I had more space. I definitely had space for one more game. Maybe at the time I was like, okay, I might be able to get 2 games. So I'd have like 3 games total. Yeah, I ran Save the City for a bit. And then I think having just one game really isn't that sustainable. So pretty quickly after that, started to work on Volatile Labs and get Volatile Labs open because if you've played Save the City, it's like an office and there's a bomb at the end and you've got to try and like defuse the bomb. It's set in like I guess a bit old fashioned, you could say, is like the theming. So then the lab was just the total opposite. And I was like, all right, I want to make like white walls and bright lights and keypads. And so yeah, that was when the lab came about. After I'd done that, then it was like, okay, I've done all like the future, I've done sort of the past. Now I want to do something scary, and then did the attic. And then that was basically like the beginning of Exit, getting those 3 games open.
So you've kind of touched on it a little bit. So you've got multiple games and different kinds of themes behind them. So how did you come up with like such a variety of themes?
Save the City. The main thing behind that was like, so it was the first game I did. So there's some puzzles that I just really wanted to put in, and Neil wanted like a secret door. So like that was something that I wanted to have. And I also really like, there's this thing about a game where if something happens at the end that means you're rushing, it becomes more exciting.
Yeah.
So like Save the City, it's like you get to the end and you get to the bomb, but then something happens. All of a sudden, no matter what time you get there, you're rushing and you've got to like figure stuff out. I think it's actually got like a proper term and stuff, like I think it's like a 3-act structure or something, where you have like something builds up to a point and then you kind of do that and then there's a twist almost unintentionally. Like what happened with Save the City, it was like having a game where you got to the end and then there was some kind of panic. And then what it means is everyone finishes on like a rush of energy, because even if you do the game in like 50 minutes, you don't have to do it in 59 to get that rush at the end. So I wanted to have that feeling at the end of Save the City, and then the rest of it was just like puzzles that I really liked and I thought about and wanted to put in. That all then fit around this theme of like saving Newcastle from an evil villain. So that was Save the City. And then, like I said, with the lab, it was just the opposite of that. I just wanted to do something where we had like keypads and electronics and bright lights and things. And in the attic, that was scary. And that was just something that I felt like I wanted to do. And commercially, it made sense because there wasn't anything else in Newcastle and that was scary. And it has done pretty well. Like I think horror games do quite well. And then after that, it was Fearless Cave, and that was just like, I just wanted to build a cool set. And that game is a shell. The whole thing is like a structure with those cave panels all attached and decorated. And that game, I just wanted mainly like the theme and just to have like a really, really cool set for it, which I think it is. I hope it is, with like the lift. And then the heist. Yeah, like that was pretty much just like, okay, I want everyone to take an hour. And so I want to have like loads of things that people can steal, but they don't have to. Like there's 1 minute and then there's loads of optional extras. And you can do as many optional extras as you've got time for.
So I don't often get locked in games, but that is such a hard game because I was just going on side quest after side quest after side quest.
Yeah.
Everything. I got locked in.
Heist is the only one I've not played at Exit.
Oh, it's really good.
So it's definitely on my list of ones to do, but I am going to be strategic with my time if that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that we did have, I'm not sure when I changed this, but in the beginning it was really good for people that had played a lot of escape rooms, but it was particularly bad for people that were doing an escape room, for the first time, because it was quite hard to get people not to be distracted by the extra stuff. Even if you told them your goal is to get the diamond, so make sure you get the diamond, they would just get distracted. So now there's like the route to get the diamond is a bit clearer. So for people that are playing it for the first time, it's easier for them to deliberately ignore the things that are kind of unnecessary. So that's like one change. So maybe if you played it again, it'd go smoother for you. I don't know. Or maybe you just
probably. We were literally on the last puzzle. And we were like climbing in and out of the room that we needed to be in and going, no, it must be this, it must be that. And it just wasn't.
Did you do it at when it was in the old building?
Yes, I did it a couple of weeks after you opened it. It was like a brand new game when we did it.
Okay. So I was like right in the beginning then, because yeah, we moved it across the building, and like with that made some changes, obviously, because it was like, all right, this is the perfect time to iron some things out and sort some bits out. So
Not to say that I won't come back and redo it. I'm more than happy to come back and redo games because I think no escape room stays the same as when it first opens. But I am one of those people that if something is opening and it's close to me, I'll go to the opening of it because I'm like really
yeah,
excited for them. And I'm like, oh, new escape rooms in my area that I haven't played yet. Yes, thank you.
yes, I'm gonna do it.
And like I've came back and I've redone Volatile Lab. I think I've done
That's changed
twice.
so much. The lab,
Yeah.
like, that's probably of all the games that has changed the most. I'd say, like that's been ripped out and changed twice now. Should have just made a new game. Like
You
in
could have just
hindsight.
like launched a new game at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, but for whatever reason, I haven't. I just like tinkering and changing stuff, and then before you know it, you're like, wait,
Totally different game.
entire game. It's a totally different game, but it's still in the lab, so it's difficult to sell as a new game now.
Can be like the Volatile Labs 2.
Volatile.
More volatile labs.
I'll come back and redo it. I'm more than happy. And I
Yeah,
guess
perfect.
Corey
Come on.
hasn't done it.
I've done volatile. I've not done heist. But yeah,
Well, I mean, if you come and do heights, then you might as well come and do labs as well while you're there.
nah, we'll just do them all. Why not?
Just
Speed run them.
Yeah. all day.
You're both professionals now as well, so like you're professional escape roomers, so you'll probably just be able to do them both in an hour, right?
Yeah, of course. Well,
Just
easy.
straight out one, straight into the other.
Probably, yeah. Why not? We can
Yeah,
do
let's go
an
with that.
escape room in half an hour.
I mean, I have done in the past.
Nice.
So one of the most unique rooms in your lineup is the Three Bears, as you've mentioned, because it's aimed more so for a younger audience. Why did you make this decision, and how did you adapt the room accordingly?
So, like the thinking behind it was that we do get like a lot of families, and sometimes they'll have younger kids, and you know, we often like Save the City is really good for like a family group, but you couldn't just have like younger kids solve it. They have to be part of like a group with adults doing some of the puzzles. And we had like kids' birthdays wanting to book in, and like big groups of like 12-year-olds where it was just like one adult. I think basically they were looking after children. And they were like, oh, let's go and do an escape room. And I think like often what would happen is they'd come and they'd be like, wait, I have to go in with them. Yeah, you've got to go in with them. I think they probably regretted the decision sometimes. But yeah, so it was kind of like a bit of a demand thing. You know, people were like, oh, we've done Save the City. Lab seems quite hard. The attic's scary. And at the time, like the cave is fine for younger children, but it's quite a difficult game. So, you know, again, it's not ideal. So it was just having something for like a younger audience. But then also, well, part of the reason for doing it was wanting a game for kids. But then also, I really like the idea of playing a game where like your thoughts were, or like things that you were doing were narrated to you. So like if you found something, then there was like narration about finding that thing, or if you unlocked something, it was like the adventurers have opened the door, and that kind of thing, and the stuff you can do with that. So that was where the idea sort of came from.
So, being one of the first companies to open in 2015, sort of as the escape room industry was moving across to the UK, how do you think the industry's changed since then? And what do you think the future holds for the escape room industry? Big philosophical question.
Yeah, that's big. Everything's got better, right? Like games are much better for sure. They're better run, puzzles are better. Like I think that's everywhere. And the really bad games have been filtered out now. Like I don't think they've survived. There's maybe a few knocking around if they've like just opened, but there was like a period where there seemed to be like a bit of a money grab sometimes.
Yeah.
Room and
Get into escape rooms because you're going to make loads of money.
yeah, and it was definitely like it was a thing. I think those people realized that like one, those games were crap, and two, even if they were great, escape rooms aren't a gold mine. You know, like they just don't have the throughput. You just can't get the numbers. If you're running it like conventionally, it's like you need a massive space for 1.5 hours, say, including the reset. You need one member of staff, and you're only allowed like 6 people. Like there's a real hard limit to the amount of money you can make. The community's definitely changed. I'm not sure if like the better or worse, but there's just more people employed. There's more bigger companies. There's more, you know, franchise, more money and stuff knocking around, I think, to a point. Whereas like back in the day, it was like, you know, you'd go to meet up, so you'd go and do an escape room. It was always the owner that was running your game. Like that was just how it was. That's less the case now.
I always get excited when I actually meet the owners now because there's so many people that have like gone, oh, well, of course everyone's got staff. Everybody needs help. But when I catch an owner, I'm like, oh my goodness, let's sit down and like talk to me about what you do. And they're always, it's all grassroots. It's all very much, we built this with our on two hands, which I love an escape room
Yeah.
like that.
It shows. You can see it in the rooms. Like the passion from the owner emanates through the rooms, regardless of the staff. And if it can emanate through the staff as well, like it's even better.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of like, because maybe there's not loads and loads of money in escape rooms, if you don't have someone that's really passionate and has like a lot of their time and effort invested in it, then things just aren't as good, because for like a big company or a big or for something that's just seen as like an investment, to get a builder to build a room at like market rate and then have someone design the puzzles at market, to like do all those things is a really expensive endeavor, and it's just not really worth it. So then I think what you get is sometimes just, if people are only in it for the money, it's just everything's a bit crap, because there's no one staying up till like 3 a.m. fiddling with an Arduino. Like, that just
You
doesn't
can
happen.
see it.
Yeah, like the contractor that they hired went home at 4, and that's just how it is. That's what you're playing.
I definitely think the sort of strength of an escape room and how good it is can be based on the size of the bags under the owner's eyes.
Yeah, there's definitely something in that.
100% is. How many times have you stayed at work until 2 a.m. because you're building a game and you just can't go home quite yet because that
Oh,
thing that's on the
like,
wall isn't perfectly lined, or oh, I know what I can add to this. And so we've got like an alarm system that sets off when it goes past 12. And I'd get a message from Sam being like, do you want to go home? It was my boss at the time going, oh, but I'm just going to do this maze first.
Yeah, like 2 a.m. 2 a.m. probably like countless of me. Like the amount of nights that I've just not gone home at exit and have just like worked through the night trying to get something finished. I'm like, oh wait, it's sunny outside. Crap, I should go to bed. Like, yeah, you're like, and also with being in the center of Newcastle, it like gets to that time where everyone's like going home. Like if they've been on a night out, so you'll have like
just escape room owners and the drunken 4 a.m. crowd.
Students and things like that. And you're like walking out, like looking tired, probably looking worse than people that have been.
Yeah, both stumbling side by side, moaning about their day.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's really cool seeing how like immersive entertainment and stuff's changing. And like I mentioned before about The Case Closed, a murder mystery, that one's like 90 minutes long and you're solving a murder case. And so it's not really an escape room. You're not like you are trying to unlock stuff.
You're using like actual detective skills like fingerprinting and all sorts of
like,
analysis and stuff like that.
Is this a mystery? Like, why is this a mystery? And then it's not really an escape room, but I think it all does link in. Like it stems from the same place. Like there's like Phantom Peak in London. That's really cool.
It's on our list. We're going to go do it in October.
Get there. It's great. And then I think there's a thing in New York called Beat the Bomb. Like that's quite old now, but that's like race to the end, and there's like a big paint bomb that explodes, but it's a really physical thing. And then there's like Borg and like Level 99 there.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's all sorts of really cool different things popping up. All in other parts of the world, but the UK, bar Phantom Peak and like Bridge Command and stuff like that. But
it'll come though, like stuff like that'll come.
Yeah, 100%.
Again, like so I did this. So Punch Drunk do this show called Sleep No More in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just mentioned that, right? So I went into that thinking that it was basically an escape room, and it's not. It's much
very different
than an escape room. And I was like crawling under these like desks, looking in buckets that were like filled with water, only to realize hours later that that was just part of the performance. They like threw water, and I was like searching for keys, and you didn't need any keys. This was like I just totally misread what it was I'd signed up for. But that was fantastic. Like that was so cool. And then I think they've done something in Burn City. I've not done it. I don't know if that's closed
in London,
now.
it's closed down now. They've just brought out, I believe it's called Viola's Room, which is narrated by Helena Bonham Carter, which is pretty
cool.
It's like a walkthrough audio experience. So you put on a pair of headphones and you go through and explore this ever expansive set whilst listening to an incredible story.
That's cool.
Another one to throw in there is Darkfield. I don't know if you've had a chance to experience Darkfield. It's often at like fringe festivals and things like that, or they have stuff dotted around the country. But it's essentially one of the ones that we did was called Seance.
Okay.
And you go into a shipping container, you sit down in like 2 rows alongside a big long table, and it looks like a Victorian seance. You put some headphones on, you put your hands on the table, you're told not to move, and then the lights go out and you're in pitch black darkness and you get this full 3D audio experience. There's things moving around the room. You can hear people walking behind you and whispering in your ear. It's crazy.
That's cool.
That's
It is very
giving me
cool.
shivers.
If you get the chance to do it. So they have it at Edinburgh Fringe. I know they have
yeah.
it coming again this year. They've got a multitude of different rooms. So they've got like Seance. They've got another one called, I believe it's called Flight, which is like an airplane crash scenario.
I think I heard about that one at the Fringe,
which is wild. They've got another one based in a hotel, another one in a psychiatric ward, another one in an arcade. There's all sorts of very cool audio experiences, so definitely check those out.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's really exciting, like what's happening, and then also just escape games in general. Like they'll always be around. They're cool, and they'll just get better and they'll change.
Yeah, I think as technology gets better, I think escape games are also going to get better with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like they'll just make use of like AI. That's going to be cool. Like, I mean, it's like it's already used to a point, but like I don't know when you can make it into a puzzle, which you probably could now actually. But like you're asking it questions and it's going to give you answers if you ask the right thing. Like
you just have it; it runs your game for you.
Wow, so we're going to start getting rid of Games Masters and replacing it with AI.
Maybe.
This is starting to sound a little bit sketchy.
In like a super high-tech game that you've got to ask AI for your clues, I think that would be quite funny.
yeah, like how cool would that be? And like it could learn stuff as well. Like when you've just opened the game and there's that period at the start where like you'll start to figure out what clues people are more likely to ask for and stuff. Like AI could figure that out and it would remember.
It would be crazy to send an AI robot into your room to beta test it and just see what it does. Like throwing an all-knowing being in your room and just going, "Get out, good luck." Like, would it actually solve the puzzles? Would it break the door down? Would it rewire? Would it take over the entire building's electricity and just flip the keypad? Like, what would happen?
That would be cool.
There's like AI that have been taught chess, and it's just like absurd. They're pulling like 2-move games. There's also grandmasters that are doing the same thing though. So
yeah, but that's what AI was built from, was like puzzles. They were solving puzzles. That's how they beta test AI essentially.
Is it cool? I mean, even now you can if you're making a game or if you're trying to come up with some idea, you can give it loads of constraints and ask it, there's 2 rooms and I want it to be a castle and it's going to have a dungeon and the main character needs to be called this. Make me a story that would fit into an escape room. And sometimes it'll give you absolute crap. But, sometimes it doesn't. And other times, or more often, it'll just give you something that makes you think. You're like, oh, that's cool. That particular idea it's given me is cool. And then you go off and do human stuff with it.
Yeah, I definitely think AI is more of a resource at current for us to use and sort of bounce ideas off, more so than just letting it go with what it initially comes up with.
Yeah, and it's good for emails and stuff as well. Like if you need if you got a long email to reply to, you're just like, hey, can you help with this? It's like it is useful. Yeah. And as long as you're not reading it and firing it off, then yeah, I didn't try it, but maybe I could just put all these in. No, I think given how bad.
So that's why I got an email from Exit saying, "Oh, you idiot, you've gone to the wrong place." Or was that you?
We'll never know.
So this year, Exit actually turns 10. Congratulations. You have got a small child on your hands, I'm afraid.
This is where it goes downhill.
Yeah.
It's becoming a teenager.
Becoming a teenager.
No, I've got 2 years, right? Yeah, I've got 2 years.
You've got 2 years, you're right.
Moody and stuff.
A decade of anything is something to really be celebrated. But can you tell us your top 3 moments from the last 10 years of Exit?
I think in the very beginning, getting the keys, that was huge. When you've done lots of planning and figuring out and you're like, oh my God, am I going to run out of money? And am I going to have a thing? And all those things. And I don't know, there's just something about getting the keys that made it it's happening now.
No turning back.
Yeah, and then and going into the opening the building, and then just walking around the building, oh my God, I can do what I want with this place. It's mine. It's I mean, it's not. You're renting it, but in your head, you're this is yeah, that was cool. That was a really big moment. And then I'd say getting all 3 games open, so I'd used up all of the space. I don't know. It just felt like it was like a big milestone because ever since opening, I was like, right, I've got the place. Now I need to fill it with games and get customers coming in. And I think when I opened that like final game and it started to book up, you're like, right, okay, I've achieved kind of what I set out to do. So what's next? Because
On to the next room.
about for long. I realized that when that happened, like, because I was like, all right, this will be cool. I've achieved what I set out to do, and I think I then not too long after signed the lease for the other building. I then also did like consultancy work and opened another Save the City in Ireland, in like Belfast,
Wow.
which is still going amazingly. Oh, and I've got a third one, right?
Being on the ESCAPUZZLED podcast. There you go, number 3. Boom.
There you go. Yeah, this is it. I mean, it's right. So it's a close third. Either being on this podcast,
Wow.
which is huge, or hiring staff. That was a big moment as well. You know, like putting it in someone else's hands for a bit. You know, that was also a really big moment. There's so many cool moments actually. Like, I don't know, it's hard to just boil it down to 3, but yeah.
What are like some of the awards that Exit have got that you're like, oh my god, how do we have that?
We do have like quite a few awards that are
You
like,
do.
you know, like I think the Heist won like one of the best escape rooms in the UK, and then it also won like top in the Northeast. And then I think every escape room wins this, but like the TripAdvisor like Travelers Award or whatever it is.
Love a certificate.
Exactly, and that one's good because they actually send you a physical certificate.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fiorella's Cave got nominated for Terpecker as well, didn't it, if I'm correct?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. So that was quite a big one.
One of the top escape rooms in the world. Nominated for it. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, that one was legit. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I think, is that run by like David and Lisa?
I think David and Lisa are part of it. I don't think it's necessarily run by them, but there's hundreds and hundreds of people that now vote on it. I think you have to have over 100 games played.
Oh, to like make the vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like familiar. I mean, just in general, like we get, you know, good feedback from just, you know, when your games end, like chatting to people when they've come out and they're like, oh, that was the best thing I've done. And like that feedback is great because that's like to your face and they're smiling and they're like excited. So yeah, there was
Gotta love immediate gratification.
Exactly.
You did well. Yes.
Yeah.
Where's my stamp?
Can I have a photo, please?
If you could go back to when you first started the business and give yourself some advice or maybe change something that you did, is there anything you would change, or do you believe everything happens for a reason?
I'm not sure I believe everything happens for a reason, but even the bad decisions I've made, I've learned a lot from. So I think it's like difficult for me to look back and be like, oh, I wouldn't do that, because ultimately, like, I've done some questionable things. Like I bought a massive slide. That was something I bought.
Why is this not in a game, or at least The Office?
Here is the story. So it was like a 12-foot slide. It was absolutely huge. It was like 2 meters wide, 12 foot long. And I was so excited to get this in the game. And it was actually at the building we no longer have. And that you were going to slide from one floor to the other. And it was going to be part of the 3 Bears. This is going to make me sound so stupid. I've not done, I usually do things this stupid. But honestly, I just measured it all wrong.
Oh my god.
And the thing is, there was a lot of denial going on at the time, and I was like, "No, it will fit. We're going to make this fit. It's going to work. Don't worry." And I mean, it was so heavy. It had to go up like 3 flights of stairs. It didn't fit through the doorways. Oh, it was you know, when you just commit to something like so that you
I will make this work.
Like, yeah, it was like the best example of like sunk cost fallacy. And anyway, got it in. Like, this does make me sound really daft, but you slid down it and you just hit a wall. It was pointless going again. Like, I don't know why I spent so long trying to get it in, and obviously a lot of money, and yeah, a lot of just that. It never happened. That was a pretty costly, daft, stubborn mistake. There's one. But the silver lining of that is now my mum's house where I grew up.
Please tell me you gave her the slide and it's now in her house.
Yeah, well, it dominates the garden. It's like the biggest thing in the garden. It takes up like half the garden.
No way.
Can I just put this? Because again, like, I'd put so much into this. Like, I bought it as this massive slide. It's a huge chunk of metal. And I was like, well, I don't want to sell it. I'll lose money. I'm just going to, Mum, can I put it in your garden, please? And I'll move it eventually. And like now I think it's pretty much a permanent feature. So yeah, sorry, Mum. It's difficult doing the consultancy work and opening a game in Belfast. Like that was interesting working because it's kind of like working for someone else. I guess I'm not really employed by them, but someone else is paying me and I'm doing work for them. Yeah, that whole thing was interesting. I think because at a point I was like, wait, why am I doing this? Why am I spending loads of time to open another game? I could just open another game. Yeah, I think I learned a lot from that. I think in hindsight, I was part of the problem too. I think I'd undercharged, and so it also meant that I was months into it. I was like, I probably undercharged for this, and so now I resent doing all this work. I've already agreed to this.
I mean, we've all done it. We've all done, when someone first asks you, can you do this? Can you build this for me? And I think the first consultancy gig, I built a whole game for $3,000. And now when I think about that, I'm like, I built a whole game for $3,000. What?
Yeah,
But
come to Exit, man. We'll... That's a bargain.
And now I think about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, why? But it was also the first time that I was ever asked to do it. And I was just like, fine, cool, I'll do it.
It's exciting, right?
Yeah.
I think at the time, the person that I was doing it for, he was really nice. I really liked him. He basically he had a clip and climb franchise, which is a climbing space thing. I think there's one in the Metro Center actually.
There is, yeah.
Had this franchise, had a load of other space, and he was just like, I've heard escape games are good for money. So he was very businessy. He's like, I'm going to open an escape room, and he came over. He did Fiorella's. No, was Fiorella's Cave open then? Might have done that later, but he was like, oh, Fiorella's Cave is really cool. It looks like you know what you're doing. So can I pay you to help me? And then I think at the time I was like you, I was like, oh my God, someone's asked me to consult. That sounds cool. And also I get to go to Belfast. I've never been to Belfast. Great. My second name is Murphy, so I feel like I have to go to Ireland.
By law.
Yeah, so that. But I wouldn't say I regret it. I think I just learned a lot, I suppose. But yeah, maybe those things. I've made so many mistakes. Some not for the podcast as well. Some mistakes that viewers would be like, oh my God, how is this man running a business?
You are going to get those on social media in the podcast after dark.
Yeah. But with my voice, so you can't you don't know it's me.
We've got Escape Room Anonymous, where everybody just says a little secret, but we don't tell anybody who said it. It's just this
confessions of an escape room owner.
Oh my goodness, we are doing this.
That's a social media post.
100%.
Series, isn't it?
Once we've got a good block, so we can't just be there's just a really deep Geordie accent, and it's I wonder who that guy is.
Who that was that spoke about something like this a day ago. I wonder.
If you had an unlimited budget to create an escape room, what would you build? So just for previous, so we've had Fort Bayard with tigers. We've had a plane inside of a beehive. We've had Vikings.
An actual full beach.
So what would you build with an unlimited budget?
I think I'd just focus on one person, right? And so have one person that maybe doesn't even know that they're participating. So the family line them up, right? And they'd sign up to this escape game, and the game starts with a knock at the door in the morning, waking them up. The police are there, maybe not the police, I don't know, some kind of government agencies, the world's gonna end and you're our only hope. Get in the van, and then it just drives them off to some secret facility somewhere. Yeah, basically a film, I suppose, is what I'd want. I'd want one person to feel as though they were in a film where they had to solve everything and everyone was actors.
There is a place in London that does something similar to this.
Oh, really?
I will find out the name. I'll put it in the show notes and I'll let you know what it is. But a friend told me about it a while ago, where essentially it's a single person experience and you can go into it could be a drug raid, or you could be in court and everybody else is an actor and you're centralizing the story and it's built around you.
Oh my God, that sounds great.
Which is wild.
I feel you just do so much, and especially if for one person deleted it, if you need to arrest them, put them in jail, and they have to escape jail because they're being wrongly convicted or something. I don't know, but get them to believe it, and then have actors inside the jail with the other inmates and stuff. Yeah, I don't know, just something
super immersive.
Really big, super immersive, multiple days, weeks even. They just wouldn't go. Like,
I feel like there's
Um,
a thing in New York as well where you get a telephone call on the morning of your game. You then
mhm.
get told to go to like a dock, and then a homeless man drags you to one side and gives you a package, and then you've got to go buy a live frog and you deliver it to somewhere else. And they just send you around the city, and you don't know who's in on it, you don't know who's not. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, something like that. That would be what I'd do. Just come up with that and like flesh it out, and then hire a lot of actors. I think the main thing, like having an unlimited budget, you could just build such cool stuff, and you could buy cool things, and none of this staying up till 2 a.m. trying to figure something out for yourself. Just be like, here, go and build this for me. Thank you very much. And I'm going to think about this game. Because I think, yeah, like for me anyway, like the planning of like the games and stuff, that's, I don't want to say easy. That just like you just sit down and you sort of do it. But then the building of them and making them work and
Monetary constraints, making things
yeah,
work in the
all those
budget.
things. Yeah, and getting permission for stuff and like making sure it's like it's fine in the room and you know all those things. They're all the,
Yeah, a lot of
all
our
the
guests in the past said
aspects.
that they would use the unlimited budget to pay for really expensive insurance so they could do really crazy things.
Oh, I've killed someone. Whoops! Just putting that on.
Yeah, like flying people to the island or putting them in a room with a live tiger or like just dumb stuff that would be so much fun, but is
Yeah.
definitely borderline illegal.
Like the fear of actual death, and if they die, you just pay everyone off. You're like, don't sue me. We know you missed them, but will £1 million heal the wound? Yeah.
You remember that part where I said I'm going to hit record, do not say anything incriminating?
Oh no, what, really? Damn it.
So, what are your plans or what are Exit's plans for the future? Are there any teasers, any new rooms, or anything like that that you can sort of give us a little sneaky look at?
Yeah, sure. So we are going to open a new game
Ooh.
in space that we've not yet used. So we're not closing down a game. It's definitely going to be some kind of mystery because the space that we have is basically like a flat. The reason that I went to Adam to do that game and done a couple of others is that like, you know, just sort of, you know, as you do, as with escape rooms, you know, you scout things out, you see what's there and try stuff. And I mean, I think that's basically how everyone makes an escape room, right? They go and do lots of escape rooms and then try and see what you enjoy and see what you don't enjoy. And I know for a fact that like I'll go do games and there are things that were definitely an exit. I'm like, this is cool. You've done this better than I did it. You're only down the road. Interesting. But like, I mean, that's just how like progress is made, right? Like improve on other people's things. And so kind of I decided that I sort of wanted to do some kind of murder mystery thing, maybe not murder. And so that's kind of the path that we're going down now. And then once that's opened, then I'm probably going to close the 3 bears and make that into a scary room because the set like lends itself well. It's kind of like a cabin in the woods, that kind of vibe. But obviously at the minute it's like nice and happy and kid friendly, and going to change it to be pretty sinister.
I think that's the right thing to do.
Yeah. So and it's just because like ultimately there's just not enough games in that room, and it's not really because anything to do with the game. It's just because that theme doesn't sell super well. Although we do get kids come, there's just not enough, honestly. So yeah.
On a scary front, obviously you guys have the attic and you're potentially looking to put in another one. Have you ever thought about live actors in rooms?
Yeah, but like I love live actors. So yeah, I love live actors. I've done games with them in, and it's absolutely great. I think the space that we've got for this new scary game will allow it, but it won't be an actor in there the whole time. Because like I've done games where there's an actor in with you the whole time, and it's like, man, that's a whole other member of staff. I think like you know, there's definitely a conflicting thing. Like I think I want the games to be the absolute best thing possibly be, but I also don't want to like bang because then there won't be escape games. So it's like paying for 2 people to run one game. Either the game has to be pretty expensive, or you know something's got to give, I guess. But yeah, we'll do. We'll have like the GM sort of do stuff. But for scary games, you don't want your GM just dressed as a GM to come into the room and be like, ooh, and then that definitely would like break the illusion. You know, how can you get someone in doing something scary, but
the joy of having somebody sat in the office chilling doing emails in like a dead girl costume or like axe murderer.
they literally had this like whole game made. It was fantastic. It actually, I think it won that Tribeca award one year. It's in Poland, and they literally have corridors that run around the outside of the game, where the actor can run around and be in any room or any bit of the game at any time.
Ooh.
And that was terrifying. That game was absolutely terrifying. Definitely something that I'm trying to incorporate, especially because the way that the space is laid out is like there's multiple entrances, so it means you can get in and get out without stay seated and don't touch me. I'm walking back out now. Like, you can sort of jump in a room that they're not yet into and then leave without them really knowing where you came from. So
On the same topic, but slightly different, something cool that I found out the other day is there's a world record for the most escape rooms done in a 24-hour period. And the team that did it completed it in Russia because they have a really large amount of rooms in one small area.
okay.
But the rooms that they did were horror-based rooms. And apparently this company offers 3 different types of difficulty levels. And it's easy, hard, or hard with pain.
What?
They're the 3 difficulties. How crazy is that? Like
Hard
the live
with
actors will
pain.
physically like throw you against walls and push you to the floor. Like,
Oh my
it's
God.
crazy. And some of them that they did in this 24-hour period were hard with pain, which is hilarious because, I mean, if there's anything to get you through an escape room faster, it is pain.
Yeah, like I don't want to be hurt. Like I want to get out. And then we've also got like some pinball machines and like I was going to do like a cafe, but I think I'm sort of backing out of that idea. I run escape games. I can't make a good coffee, so
An escape room cafe with like escape room board games that are replayable would be really cool.
yeah.
Kind of exists, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, there are.
I mean, there's a
like-
lot of there's a lot of board game escape rooms and tabletop escape rooms,
Yeah.
but not necessarily escape specific.
Yeah, I mean the thing with the board game cafes, because I've used board game cafes, and they're great, but honestly, most of the people who go to them seem to go buy one drink, sit and play a game for 3 hours, then leave. That's, yeah, there's not like they're not, no one's going to a board game cafe to drink like 5 coffees and play Scrabble.
If you charged like game hire, then maybe that would make like logistical sense.
Yeah, maybe, but then there's the whole like, well, they just play it at home, right? Like,
Yeah, true. But would you
fine,
rather
like-
play something somewhere with your friends for like £2 or £3, or would you rather buy it yourself for 15? Like,
Yeah, it's true. And also, like you say, if you can do like escape game based stuff, then that's cool because it links into the escape rooms. And just
Yeah.
having people in your building is good because they might play games and they might buy other stuff. And there's lots to it. But I'm just, it was a thing that I thought that I might do, and now I'm like, not so sure.
I'm gonna throw another thing in here because I've just remembered. You guys do some absolutely phenomenal merch, more so specifically your enamel pins, and I
Oh,
need
yeah.
all of them. So next time I'm there, I'm gonna buy them all.
Well, for you, we might be able to just figure something out, I think, Corey.
Wow, too kind, too kind.
But you have to go around saying incredible things about our game.
I see. Now it's time to bribery.
Well, yeah, of course, right? That's the real world.
I mean, for an enamel pin, I think Carly would do anything.
Who wouldn't?
I feel like we're gonna have to start another series called Podcast Confessions, where we say all the things that we've done for enamel pins.
I mean, I volunteered for like 2 days for an enamel pin.
I'm more surprised by like how many people like buy them, and they are cool, and like I'd buy that kind of thing. But I'm just surprised there are other people like me that also
I
buy
was
them.
never really like a pin badge kind of person until a few weeks ago. I saw somebody post their collection of escape room pins, and they had
Oh,
hundreds,
nice.
and I was like, wow, they are stunning. I need them all.
That's cool.
When I used to do like the D&D and the castle stuff, there was a lot of like trading of pins. Then there's these people that are like some of the world's best D&D players. They were absolutely incredible, and they'd come and play our escape room at Lumley, and just be like, "Do you want a pin?" And the amount of really cool stuff I've got. So I've got like a little wizard, and like I was trading them for like the Durham knocker enamel pins that like you can get them for pennies. At the cathedral. They were throwing at me, so I was like trading them off for these like really cool game pins, and I was like, maybe I am a pin person.
like trading.
Yeah, literally, it was great. But they were doing it like between each other as well. So there was like a person with a collection of like the Disney enamel pins, and then some that were like game specific. And it's just a great time. Good vibes all around.
That's cool.
We need ESCAPUZZLED enamel pins. It's going on the list.
Yes.
It's going on the
Please
list.
happen. And then you can like send them out to people that are on your podcast, like me.
What a wonderful idea. Pin for pin swap. That sounds good.
Nice.
So where can our listeners find you?
Not specifically your address. Not you
Yeah.
specifically. Like the
67A
business.
Westgate Road, Newcastle upon Tyne, NE1 1SG. Exact location, just behind the train station. They can find us on our website, which is www.exit-newcastle.co.uk, or just type Exit Newcastle into Google. Or we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Honestly, though, we go through waves of like using it and then waves of
Well, I just want to say a massive thank you for you joining us today and taking time out of your ever busy schedule, putting slides into places they won't fit. Just want to say a massive thank you for you joining us today and taking a time out of your ever busy schedule.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next episode. If you don't already, please do go back and check out the other episodes. We have some other phenomenal guests. If you do want to, if you feel the need to, leave us a review. Tell your parents about it. Tell your gran, your goldfish. Get them to leave a review as well. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.